The Sorrel-Weed House is said to be one of the most haunted houses in Savannah. The land where it was built and its tragic history certainly lend credence to such a claim.
So in sharing the Sorrel-Weed House with you, we thought we'd start off talking a little bit about Savannah. And it's really cool. Denise, when she went up to do her little taekwondoing thing, they gave her this as a gift. Very cool book.
Yes.
And so we were telling you guys about the squares, and one of the things we wanted to show you is James Oglethorpe is the one who founded Savannah and set it up. And this was Oglethorpe's plan. I'm going to hold that up to the camera so that you can see. This is how it would be set up, where you'd have a square, whoops, okay, there we go, a square here, and then these are all the homes that would be around the squares. And generally, there would be about 40 lots there, so they could have 40 families living around a square. And then we also have this image to share from 1818 that shows you several of the squares. And then that. Sorrel-Weed House is in Madison Square, and this square was named for President James Madison. This is the steeple of St. John's Church, and then this is the green Meldrum House that we told you about that is connected to it and is part of the church's rectory today. Well, what's really cool about this house is that this is where General Sherman, after he was on his burning campaign, stopped in Savannah. It was so beautiful, he was not going to destroy it. He gave it to Lincoln as a present, and this is the place that he stayed as his headquarters when he was in Savannah. So this is right on Madison Square. Another really cool thing about Madison Square, all of the squares have these statues and monuments in them generally. The one that is in the middle of Madison Square is this one here. And this features William Jasper. He was Sergeant William Jasper. He was a war hero because there was a battle in Charleston, South Carolina, and he saved the colors while he was there. Well, during the Battle of Savannah, and the reason why this is right here or there is because we told you the Battle of Savannah took place here, he tried to attempt to do the same thing. And if we can get this close enough, I don't know if you could see that he's holding his side. The reason why is he is mortally wounded here, and he is trying to save the colors. And so it's just showing that he was making this valiant effort to save their colors. Fortunately, he did die from his wounds, and so this was put there to honor him.
That's on the cover.
Oh, how very cool. It's on the cover of the book. We didn't even know that. Yeah, so that's William Jasper, Sergeant William Jasper. Okay.
In the episode, we told you about the DeSoto Hotel, which is now the DeSoto Hilton. Here is what the DeSoto Hotel looked like. It was raised in the 1960s, and then the 15-story DeSoto Hilton was put in its place. I think you would probably agree with us that the original DeSoto, far more beautiful, very interesting looking building, which is why I was so upset that it had gotten demolished. But the good thing about it is that it kickstarted a preservation movement in Savannah, and that's why the Sorrel-Weed House was saved. This is the outside of the Sorrel-Weed House. You can see the orange coloring we talked about in the episode. And here are those shuttered balconies. And please excuse my fat finger in the video. I didn't realize that I'd gotten it in the way. So that's not a ghost that you see over there on the left-hand side of the video. And then this is the courtyard for the house and where Matilda took her leap to her death. Here are pictures of Francis Sorrel and his second wife, Matilda Sorrel. She's the one who took her own life. This is the upstairs of the carriage house. So this was the slaves' living quarters. And as you can see, not a lot of room up here. These are the bunk bed renditions we told you about, that they're not sure that this is how the beds were, but they built them this way, I guess just for looks, aesthetics. This is inside of what would have been Molly's room, or whichever slave was given prominence. This is her room here. This is the outside of the carriage house, and I took a picture here to show you those are the original hinges that went to the carriage doors that would have been there, like a garage door. And as you can see here, they've built a type of bay window. I guess there was a store here at one time, an antique store or something, and they put this bay window in. But I thought it was kind of cool that the original hinges are still here. This is the basement. So this is what I was telling you, which is this big wide open space with no walls. And you can kind of see at the top of the picture, those are the steel girders up there that are basically holding the house up. The staircase that's here in the middle is not original to the house. It was built when they put the apartments in. This is the back area. So this would have been another maybe kitchen off to the side here. And then there's these French doors that are off to the right-hand side. And these lead into the other two rooms, which I think would have been the main kitchen and then the slave's kitchen. This here is where Dr. Sorrel set himself up during the Civil War. And so that's the table there with some of the quote-unquote medicines that he would have used. And in the case that's sitting there on the table is where those bullets were kept that I told you about in the episode. His picture, if you look off there to the right where the window is, that's a picture of him there. This, I believe, was the main kitchen, and this is off of his office. So they do have walls that they put up back here again, and the doors. And of course, his office was considered the voodoo room. So it was in that room that people would get kind of queasy and feel sick. And this is just another kitchen area. And I'm not sure what's behind it there, where you can kind of see some bright light back there. I'm not sure what was back there. This is Francis Sorrel's office. It was painted a really cool green color. And here is an example of the window that I was telling you about that would go up into the wall. So that's how large these were. There's another pane that you can't even see that's a little bit higher there. It's tall enough for a man to walk right on through. And you can see through the window here the shuttered balcony railing. This is the fireplace that's in his office. All of the fireplaces were magnificent, very, very neat with marble, and this has wrought iron inlays into it. This is inside of the dining room that we told you about with those curved doors. The curved door that's in this picture is the one that would go off to the butler's cabinet. And so you can see that it has little knobs on it or handles so that you could open that up easily. The picture of George Washington in this picture is actually painted over another picture. If you stand in just the right way in that room, you can tell that there is something underneath him. And this is one of the creepiest pictures of George Washington I've ever seen. I wasn't able to get really up close to it, but his eyes are black, so like a black-eyed child. Pretty creepy. And then there's the fireplace below him, as you can see there. And here's a straight-on picture of the fireplace. And this is the other curved doors, and these are the ones that we told you about. You'll see there is no knobs on them, no handles, no way to open the door from this side. This is downstairs in the main hallway that I told you about with that Regency stairway that goes up into the middle landing, and then you could go up either the left or right side. And it's been refurbished really nicely. All of this stuff looks really nice here, and eventually they'll be able to get upstairs and get that refurbished better too, and really looking forward to that. These are the decorative pieces that are above the chandeliers in the rooms that I told you about that are like a carved wood, and they're just gorgeous. This one, it's a little bit blurry, a little harder to see what it looks like. Here's one of the larger ones. Just gorgeous. And of course, this has a lot of paint on it, and they're hoping to get that paint off of there so that you can see the details of the wood a little bit better. This is the gold inlay that's above the windows in the one room, the only room that still has them. So I just wanted to show you guys what that looked like. This is the men's parlor, and this is the fireplace that was in there. One of the things that my tour guide pointed out is he said, you'll notice that this is more of a manly looking room, and that's how they kind of figured out that this was the men's room and the other side was the women's, because it just had more of I guess it looked more butch. Above that mantle is one of the original mirrors to the house that I told you about. Here I'm a little further back so that you can see the mirror full size. So you can see they are really large mirrors. This is looking off into the women's parlor, and as you can see, there's doors that slide off into the wall. So this is how they could close the rooms off from each other, or they could open them up, and that's when they would have their dinner parties across this way. The furniture in here is all from the time period and what they would have sat in. And if you look back into the women's parlor, Here, it's a little bit closer. This chair that's off to the left-hand side, I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it was basically it was like a dating chair. So a man and a woman would sit in the chair here, and then off to the corner, there's a chair that you can't see where mom could sit and chaperone and make sure no funny business took place while they were sitting in this couch. Over to the right, up on the wall, is a picture of Brigadier General Moxley. And the book that he wrote is that little green thing that you can kind of see behind the picture of his father, Francis Sorrel, that's beneath him there. And this is the painted paneling that we had talked about. I was like, oh, I wonder why they wouldn't just have the wood carved this way. But I guess it was more prestigious to actually have it painted this way. So in order for them to refurb this, I'm not sure what they were going to have to do, but they've got layers of paint to take off. And obviously the wall is damaged. I'm not sure what caused those holes in it, but it almost looks like bullet holes. A lot of refurb that needs to be done here. And then we told you we would include the pictures of the ghosts that people had supposedly taken. This first one is the guy who wrote for Country Living and said that this guy in his picture looked like he didn't really belong. So you look, choose for yourself. As you can see, General Moxley is there in the picture in the back. So this would be in the ladies' parlor where they're all standing. And he does look like he's just kind of higher up than everybody else and kind of off to the side, like he doesn't belong. It's kind of weird. And this is the other picture. You could see the blue streak there. And then I circled the area where she thought possibly a soldier was trying to materialize. You can kind of see how it's got a reddish look to it. And if you look up towards the top, it does look like there's a head with maybe a hat on it. Not sure if that's what it is, if it's just a weird color variation and some pixelating in a mirror. Obviously, you've got the mirror behind it there. So this would be in the men's parlor where this picture was taken. So the Sorrel-Weed House is amazing. Even if it's not haunted, it is a lot of fun to go check it out. I hope that they're able to get the whole thing refurbished because I would love to see all of the house back in its full glory again. What they have done has been spectacular, and it's just really neat to see all the furnishings that they have in it. It's got lots of great stories with it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for your support. We greatly appreciate it.